Too many cooks spoil the broth. An idiom. Strategies for making better choices in a complex situation. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we will talk about decision-making when there are many factors to consider and how to make better choices in your personal and professional life. Making decisions can be challenging, especially when faced with complex situations and multiple factors. But with the proper techniques and strategies, we can learn to make informed choices that align with our goals and values. So, let's dive in. Considering too many factors in the decision-making process can lead to poor judgment for several reasons. Analysis paralysis. When we have too much information, it can be overwhelming, leading to analysis paralysis. We may spend too much time analyzing the data and need more time deciding. This can result in missed opportunities or delayed decisions, which can have negative consequences. Information overload. Too much information can lead to confusion and make differentiating between relevant and irrelevant information challenging. This can lead to decision-making based on incomplete or complex information. Decision fatigue. Our brains have a limited capacity to make decisions. The more decisions we have to make, the more tired we become, leading to poor judgment. Evaluating all the options can be mentally exhausting when there are more factors to consider, leading to suboptimal decision-making. Loss of perspective. When we consider too many factors, we may lose sight of the big picture and get lost in the details. This can make it difficult to see the forest for the trees, leading to a lack of clarity and focus. Considering too many factors in the decision-making process can lead to poor judgment by overwhelming us with information, causing analysis paralysis, decision fatigue, and a loss of perspective. Identifying the critical factors and focusing on those to make informed decisions is essential. There are many famous examples of decision-making processes where considering too many factors led to poor judgment. New Coke. In 1985, the Coca-Cola Company introduced a new formula for Coke after conducting extensive market research. The unique recipe was supposed to be sweeter and more like Pepsi, but consumers overwhelmingly rejected it. Despite extensive research, the company should have considered consumers' strong emotional attachment to the original formula. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. In 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded shortly after launch, killing all 7 crew members. The accident was caused by a design flaw in the O-ring seals, which could not withstand the cold temperatures on the launch day. NASA engineers were aware of the fault, but they failed to consider the impact of the cold weather on the seals. The Bay of Pigs invasion. In 1961, the United States launched a failed attempt to overthrow the government of Cuba. The plan was developed by the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and involved complex factors, including military strategy, political considerations, and covert operations. However, the plan failed due to a lack of coordination and poor intelligence, as the CIA needed to consider all the potential risks and challenges involved. These examples illustrate how considering too many factors in decision-making can lead to poor judgment and significant consequences. It highlights the importance of focusing on critical factors and balancing them to make informed decisions. It is advisable to consider all factors in complex decision-making, as each factor can play an essential role in the decision-making process. However, it is possible to prioritize and focus on the critical factors that significantly impact the decision's outcome. Here are a few guidelines to help identify which elements should be prioritized. Relevant factors. Identify the factors that are most relevant to the decision at hand. These factors have the most significant impact on the decision's outcome. For example, if you decide whether to invest in a new business venture, relevant factors could include market demand, competition, financial projections, and operational costs. If you understand the relationships, it will be advantageous for decision-making. Feasibility factors. Consider the feasibility of each factor. Some factors may be essential, but obtaining or assessing the necessary information may be impossible. For example, if you are considering an international expansion for your business, you may need to consider factors such as local regulations, cultural differences, and language barriers. However, obtaining some of the necessary information to make an informed decision may only be feasible. Time-sensitive factors. Consider the factors that are time-sensitive and require immediate attention. For example, suppose you are considering a merger or acquisition. In that case, factors such as the current market conditions, the availability of financing, and the availability of the target company may be time-sensitive. Stakeholder factors. Consider the factors that are important to your stakeholders. Stakeholders can include employees, customers, investors, and other stakeholders interested in the decision's outcome. It is essential to consider their perspectives and interests when making decisions that can impact them. Sometimes things that seem trivial are ignored or omitted in the decision-making process. But ignoring or omitting any factors entirely in complex decision-making is not advisable. However, it is possible to prioritize and focus on critical factors that significantly impact the decision's outcome. Identifying relevant, feasible, time-sensitive, and stakeholder factors can help determine which factors should be prioritized. Leaders need to have a clear vision and be able to prioritize tasks strategically, using frameworks like the Eisenhower Matrix to balance urgent and vital tasks. They must manage urgent tasks while allocating time and resources to essential tasks and stay informed on emerging trends while seeking stakeholder input and feedback. They should develop strategies to respond to these trends and take calculated risks. However, they must also recognize that short-term priorities must be addressed and must strike a balance between long-term vision and short-term priorities. By maintaining this balance, managers can ensure the organization's long-term success while addressing urgent and immediate needs. Sometimes, abstracting and simplifying are techniques used to make complex things more manageable and easier to understand. It involves breaking down complex ideas or systems into their most basic components and identifying the underlying patterns or principles that govern them. By abstracting and simplifying, we can better understand complex systems and identify ways to make them more efficient and effective. The following are the steps involved in abstracting and simplifying complex things. Identify the key elements. The first step in abstracting and simplifying is to identify the critical elements of the system or idea. This involves breaking it down into its most basic components and understanding how they are interconnected. Identify patterns and relationships. Once the key elements have been identified, looking for ways and relationships between them is essential. This can help identify the underlying principles that govern the system or idea. Simplify the system or idea. Using the patterns and relationships identified in Step 2, simplify the system or idea by removing unnecessary complexity. This can involve consolidating elements, eliminating redundancies, or focusing on the most critical components. Test and refine. Once the system or idea has been simplified, testing and refining it based on feedback and outcomes is essential. This can involve further simplification or modification based on how well the system or idea is working. The benefits of abstracting and simplifying complex things include improved understanding, increased efficiency, and better decision-making. By breaking down complex systems or ideas into their most basic components and identifying patterns and relationships, we can better understand how they work and how to make them more effective. By simplifying them, we can make them more manageable and easier to use, improving overall efficiency and productivity. Despite these attempts, when the desired result doesn't come out and a problem arises, an intuitive problem-solving technique that can be used is called the 5 Whys. The 5 Whys is a simple yet effective technique that can help identify the underlying cause of a problem by asking why questions repeatedly. The goal is to identify the root cause of the problem through a process of iterative questioning. The following are the steps involved in the 5 Whys technique. Define the problem. The first step is to define the problem clearly. This involves identifying the symptoms, the problem's impact, and the issue's scope. Ask why. Ask why the problem occurred. This involves identifying the most apparent cause of the problem and asking why it happened. Repeat. Once the first why question has been answered, ask why again. Continue asking why until the root cause of the problem has been identified. Identify the root cause. After several rounds of questioning, the underlying cause of the problem will become apparent. This is the root cause of the problem. Develop a solution. Once the root cause has been identified, it is essential to develop a solution to prevent the problem from happening again. The 5 Whys technique, developed by Sakichi Toyota, is a quick and effective problem-solving tool that can help identify a problem's root cause through iterative questioning. It can be used to solve a wide range of problems, from minor operational issues to significant business failures. By identifying the underlying cause of the problem, the 5 Whys can help prevent future problems, improve overall efficiency, and increase productivity. That's all for today's video on decision-making in complex situations. I hope you found this information helpful and informative. Remember, decision-making is a skill that we can all improve with practice and patience. By focusing on critical factors, abstracting and simplifying complex things, and using priority selection technology like Eisenhower Matrix or problem-solving techniques like the 5 Whys, we can make better choices that lead to success and fulfillment. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching.